Hey guys, how's it going? So today's video is going to be on space use, but like a pro, like how to do space use like a pro. Now, as a preface to this, space use is something that I don't think I am particularly very strong as a yo-yo player. And this is a little bit of an insecurity of mine because space use isn't something that I actively think about a whole lot. And from as a player who does a few things that doesn't lend themselves very well to space use, I can also tell you some of my mistakes that I still make to this day, and I think we're just gonna have a little bit of a discussion together. Also, I have had the very good fortune of speaking to Gentry Stein and Hiroyuki Suzuki, asking them specifically about this very thing. So some of the tips I'm gonna give you guys came directly from them, so, you know, even though I'm not very good at it, I'm kind of a messenger for you all. So let's talk about space use. Now, very quickly for some of the beginner players, what the hell is space use? Now, the way the scoring system works is that you have 40% evals and 60% technical scores. Technical scores is basically how your tricks click, and 40% is evals, which is how well you kind of created the performance. One section of that 40% section is called space use. And you're gonna be graded between 1 being like really, really bad and 10 being really, really good. Now, how are they gonna judge you? Well, they're gonna ask these questions. They're gonna ask 1, the contestant used the stage and space effectively. Okay. Is the trick performed big and easy to see? Alright. Were the small moves or subtle actions focused to gather the audience's attention? In a nutshell, it's basically using the space, being able to occupy the entire area of the thing to kind of tell a better story with your performance. Some players that I think have excellent space use is Gentry Stein. I think he's the king at this. Another player is Hiroyuki Suzuki. He was baller at space use before space use was even a thing that was scored. So how to create space use like a pro. Tip number 1, the best way to make sure your space use is as good as it can possibly be is to actually have a plan. This is something that I didn't do for the longest time. Because if you really think about it, you know, when we practice our freestyles, what we do is we get them and then we kind of go through the tricks, and we don't really have that much area to move inside of our cramped tiny little rooms, you know, like not all of us have private yo-yo rooms. So it's a humble brag. And in order to get it really good, you have to be able to plan it out. Now, here's specifically what I mean by planning. Alright, now this is something that Gentry shared with me. Now, up until then, I was kind of like space use, I'll move around the stage on the day, I'll make it up as I go, and yeah, hopefully I get good space use scores. And to be fair, I was able to do that because A, when I was kind of winning in Australia, space use wasn't really a thing, and B, like my tech scores were always kind of high enough to kind of get me across the line. So I never had to really think about evals that much. I would do it. The only reason I would do space use is because I would see the players who I really enjoyed and they would move around the stage. So when I was on the stage, I would be like, whoa, this is really cool. I wanna move like them. I wanna do the things. I wanna be like, yeah, I wanna do all that stuff. But I was doing it out of emulation, not out of any grand strategy, not to do anything. So this is how you do it. This is how Gentry taught me. That's the stage, okay? And then right there, and there is the judges. All right, boom. Now, this entire area, this is where you go. Now, you kind of have to have a starting point. So let's say I start here, in the middle of the stage. All right, that's where I begin. Where do I go from there? Let's say I have a very simple freestyle, okay? Let's say this is my entire freestyle. I start off with a double or nothing. Then I roll into a matrix. I do 2 matrices. Then I do a brain twister, right? And then I finish off with a bind. All right, that is my freestyle. How do I plan out the space use? Starting from number 1, this is where you are, right? So this is me at position 1. Double or nothing. Double or nothing, all right? Now, the next trick I have to do within this freestyle, if I can actually remember this freestyle, is the matrix part of it, right? Cool. Now, I could do all of this matrix stuff in this one spot, or I could move to the left. So from my space use map, if this is me, I would then mark, all right, this is position number 2, all right? This is the matrix, all right? And then we could go from there. So from here, I'm doing the matrix, and then I'm gonna have to bind that eventually, right? So I could go back, all right? And now I have to do the whole brain twister thing, which is like that, all right? For now, what I've done is I've occupied this area here, and I've occupied this area here. This entire section I haven't occupied yet. And this is where I would get marked down for spaces, because if you don't map it out like this, you don't know which parts of the stage you've gone to. So I'm then gonna have to do this whole brain twister thing. Okay? Now here's the thing, right? This brain twister combo, like it would look better if the brain twister combo went to the left. Because the judges, right? Remember how like seeing the trick? The judges can see this a lot better than if I do the combo and go to the right. Because if I go to the right, my freaking arm is in the way. Unless I'm like a left-handed player, they're not gonna be able to see this combo. So now that I'm actually strategically planning it out, I could actually say, you know what? I don't wanna do the matrix here. I wanna do the brain twister. And instead, I wanna do the matrix here. Because that shows it better, visually. So for instance, double or nothing, all right? Then I move to the right, because you can still see the trick kind of move to the right. It's great, right? Then I can bind it up, and then, oh, I can move from there to the brain twister. And you guys can still see the brain twister, right? See how that works? This map, it would literally be 1, and then 2, so it would literally be 1, and then I would move to the right, so that becomes 2, the matrix, and then from there, you move to there, and that becomes the brain twister. Okay, so we're gonna make that 3. So now I've occupied 1, 2, and 3. This is how my freestyle is blocked out right now. We have this, and then we have that. All right, we got that. And then we have the brain twister. I move here, I move there, it's good. And then boom, now I would probably come back and then end with that bind, right? And there we go, we've got a little map of my space use. Now here's a disclaimer, right? When I was working with Gentry, he kind of told me all of this and I was like, yeah, all right, cool, I got this. But then when I actually went to go into the freestyle, I was like, okay, I'm here, and oh no, I've got to go here, and oh no, now I've got to go here. And it was an extra weigh in on my mind. And because I hadn't practiced that space use, I hadn't gone from here to there, I was thinking about all these other things. And when I was doing it kind of subconsciously via emulation, I was able to do it a lot easier. Because I'm like, hey, I'm not really thinking about it, it's cool. When you strategically think about it, there's a learning curve. You can't just jump in and do it straight away. Like, if you get a perfect routine where you're like, okay, this, I can land all the tricks, and then you just add a space use kind of chart onto that and you try to do it at the same time, you're gonna mess up because your brain is thinking about extra things. So you actually have to actually practice the space use. It's what Hiroyuki Suzuki does, and it's also what Gentry Stein does. They meticulously plan their freestyles. It's how it's done. It's how the top tier of players do it. Like, you know, one of the weaknesses as to why I'm not kind of at that level, which is A, my tech is kind of irrelevant now, but B, I didn't really think about evals. Now that you guys kind of understand the whole kind of idea behind space use, I want to kind of share a bit of kind of stylistic things that I think look cool, that I think you guys should definitely think about. So one thing that I think is a little bit kind of tacky and doesn't look good is players will be like, space use, alright, I gotta do space use, got it. So they'll be like, around here, and they'll bind it up, and they'll like run, and they'll be like, okay, and okay, technically that's space use, alright, you get the tick, but it looks a little off. So I think a really cool way to do it is to kind of integrate the trick into the movement itself. I think Evan Nagao does this with his like, you know, that thing. Or another person is Hiroyuki Suzuki. You know, when he does his forward style combo, he'll walk, right? He'll be like there, boom, and then he'll go back. Or something that I think is, it's kind of cliche if you don't do it right, but it's kind of that like turn around and then do a horizontal thing. Like for instance, like I could go boom, and then, oh, boom, horizontal, oh. That's another kind of way where you're like moving around and it doesn't look like it's kind of staged and you're just doing it for points. I think this is all kind of comes down to like dancing, choreography, anything like that. And believe me, I cannot dance. I don't know why I brought that up, but it's kind of the same idea. Now here's an advanced tactic that I still haven't really wrapped my head around. But this is something that Gentry kind of underscored to me that I hadn't really thought about. And it's footwork. Gentry was like, okay, you know how alright Brandon, you've got this combo here. And I was like, yeah, I do. It's a pretty cool combo, right, Gentry? It was like, one way you could make it better is integrate footwork. And I was like, what the heck? He was like, okay, well what if you step here when you do that and step there, or like step back and then go up and then step down and then move there, right? And then actively integrate the steps into it. And I'm like, dude, you are crazy. All I want to do is just land this thing at the better way. But then he was like, if you integrate some kind of like footwork into it, it'll look better. So like, kind of his equivalent of that was that, you know that combo where he's kind of like, I can't do it. But you know that combo? I'll show it up on the screen. He planned out not just the trick, because the trick itself was actually pretty easy. It's literally just a stop and go and kind of like, I don't know, some sort of thing like that. But it's the way he moves around that makes it look cool. So really, this entire video is kind of like, Brandon, your space use sucks, and this is how Gentry tried to fix it from an intellectual point of view. I haven't integrated all of the lessons yet, but I thought I would share it with you guys. Because, you know, I'm a good guy. I'm out of breath right now from all that movement in front of the camera. But I think this is the main thing that I kind of want to underscore for all of you guys, because space use is one of those things that really makes a yo-yo performance look cool, can really add something to your points that I don't think is discussed at all. And those tips that I taught, I didn't come up with those. A lot of the how you kind of yo-yo like a pro, it's kind of my kind of critiquing and being like, hey, you know guys, if someone explained it to this way, you would get it. But what I've explained is something that I didn't get intuitively. I had to be taught how to think this way, and I'm still not a master at any of this, but I definitely think that some of these tips would help you guys out because, hey, we're all learning here, and Gentry's at the top right now, so you should totally learn from him as well. Oh, by the way, if you guys wanna get like a yo-yo class from Gentry, you can get that from the link below. I'm not affiliated with him in any way. I don't get anything if you guys sign up for a class with that, but he's a cool guy, so I just thought, anyway. And that's it from me. So yeah, maybe I should have like Gentry kind of do a collab video or something and we can talk about like how to do like a pro but from like a world champion kind of level. Would that be something you guys would be interested in? If you would be, go spam Gentry's channel because, I mean, I'd be down. Alright, that's it from me. Any comments, questions, criticisms, post them down below and I will see you guys next time.